Welcome to another Quantum Conversation, brought to you by AcousticHealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is our special Halloween episode, and we thank everyone for joining us today. We are here with Patrick McCormick, who brings forth the multidimensional being Kartron, who's got incredible wisdom for all of us. So please welcome Patrick McCormick. Thank you, Patrick. Welcome.
Hi, how are you guys doing? I hope you can hear me okay.
We can hear you. Beautiful. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a very interesting thing, doing this kind of work, because you never know what you got to deal with. And so it's good. So how are you doing, Lauren?
Well, we are great. Anytime we gather with you, we really come into this very nurturing space that allows us to expand our consciousness, raise our vibration, and talk about New Earth. New Earth is a frequency, and it's already here. Would you agree?
Absolutely. In fact, there's parallel levels of reality going on simultaneously, and so one of the things that you can do is actually figure out how to go from one level to the next. Because sometimes we have to be here in the third dimension, and other times, you can be more in that quantum state and into the higher realm. So I just see this sandwiching of the different possibilities getting closer together, really.
The sandwiching of possibilities.
Yes. It's so interesting because I don't know about you, Lauren, or anybody else that's watching right now, but there's such a unique thing that's going on. I'm seeing that the consistency of the dimensions is different to where it's like the quality is more, I don't even know if there's words to explain it. I'll just say that it is different, and it's a good different. And it's actually, if you look at it from a scientific point of view in a quantum state, it's just a different type of state, really.
Well, let's think about let's discuss the consistency of the dimensions, because how would you describe it being different?
That's a very good question. And it's always nice when people kind of put you in a corner to actually say, what is this, right? Because the world does need some clarity, whereas all of this was not put in place. So I would say that the palpability, there's more substance to the unseen. And let's see what else. So basically the veils are thinner, especially today, Halloween, Samhain, to where you're able to basically connect in with those who've come before, and also to those other dimensions that are notoriously separate or have been separate from the third realm. And so here we are on the day of the thinnest veils. And so it is, it's a different substance in the dimension. Do you know what I'm talking about?
A different substance in the dimension. I know that people are very tuned into telepathy, or their psychic ability is better, or maybe people think of loved ones at a time, especially now with the veils so thin.
Yes, it is. In fact, this is the day of Samhain, to where people, like, especially in the Wiccan tradition and the other probably earth culture type things, where they would set a place for those who've gone, crossed over in the last year. And it is a way for them to honor them by setting them a dinner, and they would dine together with the living and the dead.
Mm.
So what do you feel would be good to make sure that we handle today, even though it's about the self and the soul coming together? So on this thinnest day, I call it the day of feasts. or the Feast of Harvests, is the way I worded it today, because this is during the harvest time, but also it's that Thanksgiving really that's happening where people can really appreciate and acknowledge and give thanks to those that have come before. So this is where you can actually say hi to Aunt Betty or Uncle Fred or whoever is, gone. And so now that's why. And I found it interesting. I contemplated, why does the veil get so thin at a certain time of the year? And it must be in a quantum science state, an electromagnetic state, or something where the charge of the veils is lessened. And so this neutralization of this is just a theory that I'm tuning into, is then it's able to connect in with those, those unseen worlds more easily. It's interesting how humanity, adopts this to the spooky stuff. But now I think the sacred is about ready to be upon us a lot more.
Good. That's beautiful. Personally, I never really enjoyed the spookiness or the freakiness of Halloween. So it's beautiful that we can look at the sacred side of it. And so here we are. This day is actually in between the equinox and the winter solstice. So that is really quite interesting. And, when we think about interdimensional beings, or the earth that we share here, and multidimensional beings that phase in and phase out, no wonder they were taken into this, Celtic tradition at first to become a holiday. I don't know how Halloween became Halloween, but that's what we're talking about. That's how these ghouls or images or spooky things came into being, because if these veils were so thin, people started to see this, right? Is that really how it came about?
Well, as it is a reflection-based universe, if it's a fear-based society, which is weirdly probably the primary construct right now that has to be expressed and experienced for people to see if that's the kind of reality they want, then they're going to have that reflected back to them, especially in the unseen realms. So, and then the system itself will promulgate this because it likes this shamanic drama that isn't. It's more optional. You don't need the spooky in your life once you start seeing how divine the different levels are. It's a very interesting time, indeed.
Beautiful. All right. Well, share a little bit then on Samhain, and then we'll talk more about our soul self and the integration of that.
Well, the Samhain, of course, as we have said, was about the able to touch the other side closer day. And you notice how, isn't this a midpoint between equinoxes or solstices right now?
Mm-hmm.
So then that means that the fields are also changed during those 1/8 instead of those quarters of the year. So this is when the electromagnetism allows and the energetic allows for this. So this is when, in the Wiccan tradition especially, they would then set the table for those, so that those who've gone in the last year could have a meal. And I see it as basically honoring them and giving thanks. And then basically, in some ways, it's like giving the energy. The Egyptians, would leave the stuff for their next life or their afterlife or whatever. And so it's like to be able to connect in with that other side allows us to actually realize that this life, and I would imagine in different civilizations over the thousands of years, the insanity has come in many flavors. And so because this is the repository of the polarity of the greatest intensity of density and stuff. And so when connecting in with that, it becomes more solemn. The sensationalism and the marketing of the Halloween, it's ironic because in that spookiness lies that sacred. And it's also a very interesting way to filter through and organize the levels of vibrational consciousness, because it gets down to what vibration you're aligned with, so that you can then see, where you belong energetically in the frequency range, because there's so many different realms in the frequency. And of course, the unseen, the non-manifest, the non-corporeal, is at a lighter frequency or a higher one. And although there's different levels of frequency in the unseen, the non-manifest. So it's a very interesting mix. And so the Samhain is in the thousands of years of tradition. Wow, this would be the perfect place to nestle this type of holiday, because everybody's done their work for the year. They're waiting for a winter or whatever. And so they would relax. And then I think the giving thanks would be a natural state. So that's what I have read about it. And then this gets into the very ancient Celtic and pre-Celtic traditions as well that we found out, because it's very interesting to look at the origins of genesis of these particular celebrations.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad that we can honor the sacredness. And so we're here to talk about New Earth and the soul self. So when we talk about New Earth being a frequency and what frequencies we're aligning with, that would be beautiful to fully stay anchored in 5D. Do you see, with the people that you work with, how do you see people maintaining a fifth dimensional alignment with those energies, or a fifth dimensional state of being? And when we get pulled out of that back into 3D, for example, that really is just because of our thoughts of 3D that bring us back into 3D. So maybe you could speak a little bit about this.
Okay, so from my own perspective and hanging around the Kartron and all that, and the different realms since '89, oh God, I almost forgot your question that you just asked. It's some very interesting
alignment with New Earth frequency, and how you see people moving in and out of it, and what you can offer to help them really be in control of staying in it more solidly.
I found that in this line of work, I guess you'd call it, of working and staying connected to the highest possibility is the best course of action, because in this process of the different layers of possibility, the lower the frequency, the more polarized and more intense and dense and weird it is. And so I've always attempted to maintain my energy at a certain state, to the point of not becoming unavailable to that intensity of that stuff that can pull you into its matrix. And so I got to a point where for several years, hopefully this sound isn't too bad, I'm actually near a crossroads, where for several years I spent probably 5 or 7 years having my mind comprehend its place, to where it can see how it fits into the team of the heart and the emotions and all of that. And this allowed it to not have to control the situation. And this then kept me from being dipped into that intellectual matrix that is predominant here in the earth. And so I was able to get my mind to a place of a stasis, of a quantum state of consciousness, that then it would then be available for the next wonderful opportunity that the universe provided. So raising the frequency and maintaining it is good. Once you're at a certain level, you don't even need protection, because vibrationally that other lower energy just isn't available and can't make it up to this frequency that you're at. And then there's this point of what level of frequency you want to stay at, because you could, well, if you're that good at it, get really high, but then you start disincarnating from the earth, where we're supposed to be making a difference. Does that make sense?
Well, are you speaking that we are leaving our body at that point, and we really want to be embodied?
No, you can have your light body come in, and like Rebecca, my friend Rebecca, she calls it the Homo Luminous, or actually her angel team said that's the next race. Mm-hmm. And so it is about this plane of this dimension where all this stuff, I think this is kind of like where they threw all the problems and they're just letting it work itself through. Mm-hmm. And they're not really allowed to intervene that much. So just put it over here on this thirder world, and then, and then just see what happens, and don't go there because you don't want any on you. And it's just like, oh, you got Earth on you. Imagine after a long weekend on the planet, come back on the ship. Oh, get in the chamber right now, young man. You got Earth. You got matter all over you. And so by raising the vibration, then in that unavailability, you get to that state of a very nice stasis. And truthfully, there are certain laws that apply that didn't apply in the denser realm of intensity of density. So as you get into that, if you keep going up, then you become unavailable to that realm a bit too much. If you are here to fulfill a purpose or be a shining light or a gift or whatever. So it's a balancing act to where you kind of nestle into your home frequency, and then you have that as your base of operation and seeing how to engage. So there's a lot of different things to consider as you raise your vibration. But for a lot of you guys, just raise your vibe, get up, because you can always lower it, but you won't be able to get back to the third or consciousness. It's like once you go through a certain door across a rainbow bridge or whatever, then it's too late for you. There's no hope. You might as well just finish yourself off and stay divine. So then a whole different set of laws in life. And as you know, from your delvings into it, Lauren, it's going to be really interesting because now, you have a set of dynamics that is for purpose and fate and destiny and all that stuff. So that it's like choosing the frequency that you're okay with to see which direction you're going to go from there. Does that make sense?
Yes, it totally does. And at the same time, it's very interesting to see out in the collective, right? We can be on webinars and we can join in groups and get very high in the vibration and feel very high. And yet it seems like if there's still things within us, maybe something with relationships that need to be resolved, it's still coming up. And so it's like we find ourselves at a choice point, I want to say. And
Yes.
it seems like at one point it is something maybe ego-wise, it seems like it's a cop-out to say, oh, just let it go and rise above that into a being of love. But there's also a point where we are speaking our voice. And if somebody is treating us poorly or we feel like we're being taken advantage of or things like that, then we have to speak our voice. So it's a very it's an interesting line between rising above situations and
Yeah,
being in unconditional love, yet speaking up if something disturbs us.
that's true. And it's like you're bordering on Kartron stuff here. So where do we consent to engage? It used to be we didn't have as much choice in many ways because there was a lot of duping, of a coercion, of an illusory obligation. Even it wasn't all just an illusion, but there was a lot of trickery, I think, going on, and the sleight of hand as far as destiny goes, to where they would make people feel that they had to, oh, you got to stay down here and suffer, be the one to pay the price and offer yourself and be the sacrifice. And it's like, guys, that's an old program. So it's not like that anymore because we start having more of a say-so in our own destiny and path of light as we get to this level. And of course, then there's going to be a trade out of your spirit guides as well, because they don't need to guide you when you get these things. So it's an interesting thing to where your guides, some of them may become less available as you get it. Some people are quite fond of some of their guides. And so, but there is a trade out of those assignments as well for those who are, evolving like us.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So when we're talking soul self and soul self integration, maybe we want to bring in Kartron here. I'll let you speak
Yeah.
a little bit about it, but for those who are new to you, Patrick, explain Kartron, who he is, and he's really one of your guides. He may be your higher self. Would you agree?
I just really can't define it because in spending, since
Decades.
94, 24 years with the Kartron, It's been really an interesting journey, and it is able to become whatever is necessary to engage with what is required to facilitate the thing that is being engaged. So it's hard to define a Kartron. That's why we let everybody tell us basically, what do you see the Kartron as? Because is it a being? Is it an energy? Is it an essence? It is a computer program from heaven or whatever. It's like, it's very interesting because, as you know, well, once he found that weird demented humor part of my brain, he was able to turn it into twisted interdimensional jokes. And he found that humor was a very powerful gift or tool to access the rest of the psyche, because he found that the mental plane was the most staunch and the greatest wall, because this is, you know, rah, 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 and the mind would actually, in good intent, block out the spirit. So it's like he had to create a lot of workarounds with it. And humor was one of those workarounds. So in '94, when there was some work with a friend and I doing some timeline work, because we were watching on Maui, the timeline, basically they were wanting to destroy the timeline of prophecy and kick that timeline out, which was the one that was destined. And so Kartron came through and said, okay, let's do this. And he's been doing it ever since. So I want you guys then tell me what you feel the Kartron is after you engage with him. How does that sound as a cop-out?
That is beautiful. And, you know, humor these days is so needed. And boy, we look really forward to the humorous side of Kartron. All right. To me, it feels more like a, yeah, I don't know, a collective or a being of you, actually. So we will let you do what you do so we can bring forward Kartron.
I'll talk to you guys afterwards.
Okay.
It's interesting. Hello, Lauren. How are you doing to tune in to all of your audience's mentalities right now?
Oh, really? What makes it so interesting? And welcome, Kartron.
Well, it's a lot of yummy thought processes to engage. And so what we do is basically channel the living, because we are the expression of the processes that are required by the people that are participating and engaging and involved in these sessions. And so in this way, we get to channel everyone on the collective. And so happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween while these veils are thin today. Thank you for being here. We would like to ask you about a message that you have for our collective on...
Okay, well, let's start with the spooky stuff. Ready? Get set?
Yes.
Boo. Okay, now that that's done, we can get on with it. It's so interesting, you know, in coming into this body and then going through the oceans and the layers and the different currents. It's like an ocean current of the different layers of consciousness every time. We get to really get our finger on the pulse of what's going on the layers of the collective and the everything. And so it is this whole archetypal and individual and the collective thinking that is necessary. And then when we look at where is humanity on its graph of evolution compared to its assignment of covenant and completion and all of that, and all the stuff that each of you have so wonderfully taken on, right? It's like, and then if you look at yourselves as the upper sliver of the demographic of your species, then you get into this thing where it's amazing to, it's like a marvel to look at. So when we look at your mentalities, we're like, wow, these guys are still breathing. They're still pretty sane. They got most of their body parts. And wow, you guys are doing really well. You're not all dead yet. Because in a land and a world of a dimension that has never really been alive, it's easy to get into that catatonic state. But you guys, good luck. You came in with too many switches on. And so now you're like, oh, great. Now I know too much. And so I have to learn to shut it down because I didn't choose to get rid of, it's like, ugh, what an interesting mess you incarnate into. And what a fine line it is. So that's what we mean by the yummy mentalities. So in this thing of working with you, Lauren, and the light worker consciousness, it's much more pleasant to work with that spectrum of consciousness because you guys are evolved. You've done it. You've made it to that level. So now here you're on the precipice of your own soul on the thinnest day of the year. So what are you going to do? Get a spooky costume? That you just look at your TV. There's plenty of those. and you know, especially, well, you know, so this whole weird act, it's like Patrick just bought something at the dollar store and he's like, you got to be kidding. And this is kind of a very telling social thing, okay? This is unicorn poop. It's like marshmallows. It's like, really? Really? That's what you're doing with the gift of life. You're creating marshmallow unicorn poop. Okay, well, at least it's colorful. And it's like, so if you guys are wondering why the insanity is here and why it's stronger, it's not stronger. It's surfacing what has always been here. So now, as it's surfacing, it makes it more accessible for us. So if you've got issues, if you've got weird stuff, if you've got people going, really, what would seem like Halloween year round, of all these people and all their crap, and sometimes you catch yourself being caught up in your own stuff, or where did this come from? Is it mine? Is it the collective? Then, you know, you're on schedule because it's supposed to surface and bubble to the top. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And so when you look at humanity and where we are from where we're going, where do you see that we're at? I mean, you said we're evolved, and that's good.
How are we going to share this with everybody? Okay, guys, stop using your mind in your head, and we're going to have you use your mind in your heart, and you're going to feel these words, because we're going to open up a vibrational matrix that will connect with your emotional states. Do you guys consent to this? Is this okay?
That would be beautiful. Thank you.
Because then we can go past all of that stuff of perception and understanding and blah, blah. It'll cut to the chase on this. And we're going to frame it within the constructs of non-linear continuums. In other words, time that is not momentary. As your, okay, this is the Galactic Weather Report for the state of humanity's evolution right now, October 31st, 2018. In other words, this is the latest off the press stuff upstairs in the realm where the holograms are worked through and all this stuff where the working class gods got to get the daily assignments and their coffee and stuff. You guys are already complete. It is already in the future of a plane of prophecy and continuum that is already fulfilled and has been available yet not. So therefore, if you wouldn't have done the last few years of work, you would have not been able to access this potential future. So that's done. And because you've broken through, and you all know that hell that you've gone through, right? In the last, say, 3 years or 5 or whatever, not the long-term stuff, but the immediate. There's a quickening and a compression of the issues. And so it's like, whoa, what's going on? This is like the insane show on steroids. And so as this amplifies up, it comes up, we get to do our part more and intervene more. So now humanity has got a greater upper trajectory that's coming back towards it, of its fulfillment. So this higher state in a done deal way is a plane of prophecy that was not available even to the light workers near as much. What the quality of that is, and we're not segueing away from this, it's not an ADHD channeling, is that this is actually malleating and softening and tenderizing the veil system that it was in place to compartmentalize the reality. And so as it comes in, it's making even a greater ephemeral enchantment available. This creates a magic in the chaos that allows for the unknown miracle. And so that is available now. So good job, everybody. At the same time, you may notice that reality is getting a little mushy, not in the veil sense, but mushy. It's getting more not so solid. You're watching people who are supposed to be negative or whatever one way, and then they change and it shocks you maybe. And so you didn't see that coming, and wow, they really are opening, or someone who appears one way and now they're like, wow, okay, didn't know that they actually had that type of upbringing of a spiritual nature. And so now the truth comes out because it's safer, so they share it. And so the lower nature of the lower future is also rearing its haunches to vibrationally harvest its own. So on this Day of the Dead, what a perfect time to put it into that spooky construct that this is the harvest of souls, because everyone is getting to the vibrational level that is relevant to their frequency. The futures of their own making is what's going on right now. So as far as the ability to disengage from the parasitic quality that was feeding off of you guys as the light is doing really well. So now you don't have to take on their crap near as much. Does that make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And we're saying this so quickly so that you guys can't think of an and an and a the. So remember, feel these words.
Well, it feels very good. Thank you.
Yes. And so your mind, heart, the brain and the heart, the starter of this whole body thing for you, is the thing that's also the easiest to connect with the mind of God. Now there's the human feeling emotion, and then there's the galactic emotion, which is kind of compassion, but not able to basically have a tactile quality, where that blends together. So on the other level of humanity's evolution, the stuff's coming up, that's on schedule. Everybody's fears, all that stuff. This is stuff, Lauren, that has been so buried for centuries. Imagine a place that's had endless genocide. What type of energy would have to come up to be cleared out? Because the earth is getting too vibrationally high. So there's a very thin layer that you guys are perceiving in that used to be bigger, and now it's being compressed and sandwiched. So now all of this activity, which seems like it's all over the map, is actually a very thin band. And as this is happening, it's getting ready to filter this out, collect it, and it's before the discreation or the shutdown, because it's no longer required as a polarity holomatrix. We probably just gave you about 10 more questions and answers right now.
Well, it's beautiful. And I don't know where to go there, but there is something about this hollow matrix that and us creating our reality that you could go into a little bit more.
If you are going to raise your vibration, which is what you guys are doing, then the set of laws are necessary to familiarize yourself with that the gods use of the non-physical, the non-perception. So therefore, things like intent, well, the subtle sciences in the quantum boot camp that we do to give people the primer and the basic knowledge, understanding of how the divine sciences work, then will have a much greater influence on the holomatrix of the material realm. And so this world is starting to really align and follow the thinking where it was notoriously incarcerated and separated from the consciousness. So as light workers, you guys with your higher consciousness, it's not only working, you are about ready to become the dominant force on this planet, which may seem kind of a weird way out there statement, but just know that, remember, it's already done and it's coming towards you. Does that make sense?
Well, I think we've all been waiting for that. I've heard even just the other day, someone said, I've been waiting a decade for this. But that is hopeful then, because here we're getting to a point where all of us are being called. We've been in training for this, and we're being called to really step up as new Earth leaders.
Now, we don't want people to get upset, but basically that dimension has been available all along. All you had to do is click your heels together 3 times and say, there's no place like Om.
There's no place like Om.
So if we got you guys to be able, like, if you don't like the message, change the channel. As you guys are these frequency devices, like your radio that receives these transmissions of the different frequencies, then you can learn the techniques on how to basically adjust your dial just enough to start seeing that other show. That should be really simple to get. So it's there if people know how to alter the on the dial, their vibration. But you guys were not allowed to just hop around the cosmos. You had to come here and take care of this, because this is where the cleanup is. And even though notoriously, in the proper technical term would be sucks to be you, it would be like, thank you, because you have done this dirty work, and you guys didn't come here to just be flitted about. Everything that you have done as beings of light, even though you feel like you're maybe in listless abandon, what you are connected with, we were able to access. And that's why that divine prophecy timeline is coming in. So we want to thank you guys for putting up with your existences, because look at the extra credit that you've made available. So now, okay, do you guys want to keep doing this? Do you want to keep being at this level to where it's going to be an almost, or this is obsessed with death, or is
Okay.
supposed to be dimension? And that's fine. If you are, then you don't need to watch us, because the crazy is doing just fine on its own. Or if you guys are ready, then it's time to connect in with the soul level, because there's no going back, and really no hope for you to become a thirder again. Hopefully most of your audience resonates with that, because good luck on becoming normal and taking whatever pill the Matrix wants you to have.
So as we embody the soul more and really recognize our soul self, that really is the ultimate job. That's it. That's what we're here to do.
If you comprehend the nature of the dynamics, the constructs, the laws, the definitions of this fast in the context that it is in design, like not something that's, oh, I'm going to meditate and have another philosophy and I found this book about it. This is about where, your rocks are wet and the water is hard, where you are really going to start applying this soul energy. That means that you're also going to have to get a working knowledge of the dynamics and the laws that really haven't been necessary. But now if you're bringing in a soul light energy that was isolated for a reason, encapsulated within you, because imagine if there were 1 billion people fully in their souls, this matrix would probably just stop. And you don't want to rush that part, because the last few seconds would then may have to remanifest. So it's a very interesting timing, isn't it, to be at this moment of grand decision. And let's see, Patrick wrote about it years ago. It was, you're on the brink of distinction. And so at this point, you guys, your natural course is to just get into the highest frequency. So it would be your soul. And so, yes, that is the answer of that is the highest thing that you need right now. And then after that, once you get acclimated to that and you become basically along the levels of the awakening master or the working class deity or God, then it's time to really get the next set of tools that you will require, because you will become engineers of destiny. The next series that we are going to do is called Vessels of Destiny. But we did, for the previous 3 months, build the new self. Now we're integrating the soul in this one for the Kartron experience. This month that just finished. And then got the new self. What is it? And then before that, we had to clean up the timeline because it was so messed up. You guys didn't have a proper reference to operate from. So if you land on a messy place, it's going to mess up the temple. So it's a very interesting thing. And so the shortcut would be basically to start getting into your soul and make it the foundation for yourself. And then there's the laws that are applying. How does that sound?
That sounds beautiful, and it's really wonderful to know that that's our role, and we are here to do that. And it's simply allowing more of the downloads from the soul to come in, solutions for our earth for this big cleanup that you mentioned. Perhaps you could lead us on maybe a short little episode here to really, we have built the new self, and to really now bring in or call in or make this connection, integrate the soul within ourselves. Is there a simple, quick way to do that?
If we do not mix in all these other lives from other timelines, we'll work on this one in this life that you guys are looking at from right now.
How would we mix in the other? Is that just by thoughts or?
Oh, if we brought that in, now you'll go to all these other covenants and spirit guides and other things and going on. And so there is a general frequency, right? But now you're getting into the matrix that completes all lives.
Mm-hmm.
Right now you're becoming fully present for this one.
All right, so let's just focus.
Where you are completing your fiduciary responsibility of a spiritual investment. So equity is about ready to be reinvested. The life force, the spiritual nature, the amount of investment a destiny has for its potentiality and stuff like that. So why don't we just create kind of a taste?
Yes.
And we'll see how far we can get you guys to where you can start, feeling the soul. Yes. And that way it'll give you a chance to see if you want to continue that.
Yes, and I know that some are going to get into that experience and recognize that feeling. So this is beautiful. Thank you.
The confirmation for those that are feeling like it's already begun is yes, it has. There's at least 3 people that are saying, I feel like it's already started. Yes, it has, because we're not relegated to this moment. You already consented, so we're able to go back to the point where you guys were ready. And for the 38,456 other people that are going to be seeing this in the immediate, not necessarily during this broadcast, but in the soon, or then this is what we are designing. Now you see how it's not like just a cookie cutter situation, because if you take this collective group of consciousness, of course you handle it differently because their whole dynamics of their agreements or ancestry or whatever has changed. So we are keeping this as simple as perceivable for the people still dealing with life on earth in a body. So let's everybody, first of all, we're going to do your 4 breaths to soul, but then we're going to do something different. For those that do not know what it is, we're going to give you 4 breaths and you're going to get into the soul. And so we're going to then do what we did, and then nobody died or exploded this past season. So we're going to do the same thing to you a little bit so you can see. And then this will begin to reconfigure you so that then perhaps by this show's completion, the soul will become the foundation frequency for your new earth self. Is that acceptable?
That is awesome. We are excited for that. Thank you, Kartron.
Okay, let's look at the fine print, everybody. All of your crap gets to come up, and all this other stuff, and anything that you are not complete with. And it's like, yay, oh goody, all my own blankety blank is here. Didn't want to miss that. But know that you guys are in doing this now. What a nice time to do it, because this level of connection, support, and got your back from the cosmos energy was just not available even a few months ago. And then, of course, the Galactic Weather Report about the other stuff, Lauren, which is that whole reset stuff that everybody's saying, here's the event, here's the reset.
Is that of the economy?
Of everything. We're talking like the valence bonds of polarized consciousness, which held the atomic structure together, is about to change.
Hallelujah.
Which is a destabilization of matter.
Mm.
So you want to make sure that you don't say hallelujah all at once. You can say hallelujah and not rush that one. Because it's a very messy proposition. if you just did a big oops at this moment. And so, guys, take your first breath. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in your lives. We're opening the gateways. We're giving you God gates, about 4 feet up, 4 feet across, 1.3 meters. And it's made of lavender, a 12-sided gateway. So if you did a cross section of it, it would have 12 angles. This is dodecahedral. And you're going to exhale out your existence. So everything that you are, all this identity, all this other stuff, just let it go. In fact, let's do that 2 more times. Take another breath. Breathe in all the stuff, all the hassle, all the weirdness, all of that. Just, what a perfect day. It's Halloween on this part of the planet. Exhale, release all of that. The next breath will be the good stuff. You're going to release all the good stuff because it's time to bring in a better good stuff. So all that really cool stuff that's happening, you're going to release that with this breath. Everybody breathe in. Circulate it and let go of all the magic and miracles in your lives because it's time for getting the next upgrade. Now, take a breath as you fall back into that really quiet space that you're feeling right now. Take a breath of that stillness. It's really quiet. It's like a very peaceful breath. Yeah, I'm on vacation from my body life. Hold it. Release. Feel your spirit circulate to purpose. Exhale. Give it out to the world as your gift because you're leaving them on this level at what you represent. So it's not like, oh no, I'll never see my cat again. It's more like you're leaving this as a reflection for what you represent. All right, fall back into the solace, the peacefulness behind the stillness. And this next breath, when we have you breathe in the solace, the peace within the peace. You guys may have figured out we're getting you into this quantum state because you're breathing cosmic reality. So now, open up, breathe in the solace, the quantum state, basically of non-existence. We're opening a gateway to your souls. The angels are doing that. And then hold it. Release your life as a soul on a many incarnation level. And now just exhale and fall back into your soul light. And feel the light of this crucible of creation, this hot rod of the heart of God that is the pulsation of source within you. Emoliate you, circulate all around you. And now you're going to look out from your soul through the 3 gates. And now you're going to breathe in the soul light, circulate it, let it emoliate and burn you. Emoliate means to go into flames. Just let it burn everything away and fall back into the source inside the soul. So now you are in the source, within your soul, within the spirit and the self, body self. And so now we are going to look out from the source within the soul. So look out as your life is way out there from inside of you because you're in the cosmos. In the quantum state, everything has a relevant perception. Quantum perception defines the universe. So how one perceives the reality of the creation is how it is reflected back. Well, that's for another time. So ironically, if time even exists. So as you look out and you see your life, and there's the busyness, and there's your job, and there's your stuff, here's Lauren at a radio show or whatever, then you see that's a very distant garment of an existence. But we're going to take that garment now, and we're going to use this gate system. So you, everybody, are going to reach through all the gateways from the source, all right? And we're going to pull yourself in. We've never did this until a week ago, where we actually collapsed the costume of the identity of the corporeal existence into the soul. So we're basically going to be enfolding that costume into the soul light. It's like taking the theatrical stage of yourself and putting it into the steamer trunk. So Reach out, breathe out, and inhale and take the first layer of spirit, bring it in and collapse it to the mental plane. Let it calibrate spirit and mind, which makes the mind divine. Breathe out, reach the spirit mental layer and breathe it into your emotion. So now you've got the three sandwich layers: emotion, mind, and spirit. Integration, calibration. Now, okay, exhale out, breathe in this, collapse it to the physical. So now your 4 levels of primary identity are now put together into one, like accordion self. And now reach into that 4-layered self of earth and take a deep breath and bring that self into your soul now. So just see that identity come in. And now from the source that you are breathing from, this we didn't even do this to the Kartronian people. Reach in to where the soul is holding the 4 layers of self and pull that identity self into source. And breathe in. Inhale your essence. And exhale out and let your lives go. There is a version of those aspects of you that are still there. So people would look at you and say, oh, hi, but you have just collapsed your current life into your source. And so we are to do a reality check. Guys, how are you doing? And this will help you to do a neurolinguistic syntactic. Oh, I'm fine, right? Because we're going to integrate it into your bodies, right? Otherwise, it's just a philosophy, right? So, Lauren, how are you doing?
It's amazing to collapse that human identity into our soul. I've never experienced it that way. It's wonderful.
You are enfolding into your own divinity. And so we really shouldn't do much more, because if this recalibrates you guys, then soul comes with you as you pull this accordion, this nesting doll self back out. But we can do this. So everybody from source, actually we are seeing, let's not pull this out. Let's leave it, because this is going to really help straighten up the wrinkles of your existences. Does that make sense, Lauren?
Yes. Solutions will iron out those wrinkles. Soul solutions.
Yes. And so this is basically the soul and the source within the soul. We didn't put in the announcement as your foundation. This, everybody, we're letting you know that we're getting you ready for the new earth, because you have to be at such a frequency. It's like being at the Ascended Master level. At the beginning of this event, Lauren, you had asked, how can we keep from dropping down? Well, we're actually making your foundation starting in the heavens, as people know it. So this is, you guys, what this can translate into, if you wish, is you become these vessels, these pillars, and you allow for that energy to come into this world as your self expands out. So we're not going to bring you back out. You are going to bring you back out. And when it's time, then, oh, I got to do something and think about it. So then your mind will take its place. Or the spirit will say, okay, or I got to do some energy work, or I got to feel this. And so we're going to allow this natural unfolding. And this will then be your perfect timing. So guys, it's up to you. And if you are wondering, this is already set in a preordination. It's not something you have to make sure you do. You don't want to miss the mothership. None of that. It's already done. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here doing this, right? So now it's like, yes, baby, yeah, work it. That's why we created a line of quantum cigarettes called pillarettes, because after a good spiritual time, you really want to light up, because this has been good for us, right? It's like, oh yeah. And we have the Syrian Slims and the Pleiadian 100s. But they're all good, really, every version of it. And Patrick has threatened to actually make a filter with a quantum generator in it that will help people cessate their addictions, like smoking. This will then, because they really want connection to source. So if you actually are able to generate a field in a filter, then you would be able to get that energy, that what people really want, instead of this addiction thing. And then it would probably naturally just secede. And it would just say, okay, wow, I don't need that tobacco anymore, because I have the connection to God again, right?
Yes.
So anyway, the lighting is getting dimmer. We're using the computer light to illuminate us. We're so pretty now.
We get to see you in sunset. It's gorgeous. I just want to report that the feeling of that collapsing our human identity into our soul is just exquisite. It's really solid. It's really, it's connected. That's the word.
And you know you're doing well when you run out of words.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And in fact, Patrick wrote about this. In fact, tonight there's going to be the broadcast for the Halloween, and perhaps we should read about what was written, and this will explain to you about how your own ancestry works. Would you like to hear that? It's not very long.
Please.
Because now we have your soul's full attention.
Yes.
There's a helicopter coming by, so we'll let that happen.
We really don't hear it too bad.
We're actually doing well at feeding the mosquitoes. Oh, they're so cute. All right, so guys, from your soul light of the source, this is called an ode to ancestry. When upon a spiritual path, we become amazed how life begins defining itself, as if guided by the quill of fate wrote in the book of life, we evolve into the holiness of our own great existence. It is then the sacred awe invites the seen and unseen to join within us as all becomes sacred. On the way towards the union, we left so long ago to embark on this journey of many lives, whose individual experiences form the threads woven into the raiments of our earthly self, which sculpt the contours with their unique strands which define the tapestry of character. It is this holy robe we place upon the altar of awakening at our crossing when leaving this earthly course behind, as robes of ancestral identity lain at the crossroads where those who journey here next shall wear to define their current journey. These are the raiments which lie at the gateway between the living and the dead on this day of feasts, setting the table for those who've gone before, inviting them to dine with us when veils are thinnest. Do we choose to adorn or not our earthly temple with such ancestral garb? So that was an honoring of Halloween.
That is the most beautiful honoring of Halloween that I've ever witnessed. And it's the spiritual, higher vibrational aspect. Thank you so much for that.
So your life becomes the gift for your descendancy. Yes. And you leave that costume. And so in this way, the dead is an honor, because then you honor that, and they've done all this work, they've laid the path. And so you lay this raiment, this robe upon the journey, and then the next one comes along and says, oh, let me wear this, and now I know who I am and where I'm from. This is my ancestors, and this is my identity. This is where I get my dignity and my pride and my courage, and this is what I stand for those who are choosing to really take up that fealty. So it's passing from life to life. And it is at this crossroads right now that we are here. So this evening, there will be a gathering, basically going to open up the gateway to the sacred dead. And we're going to invite them to have a place and open the gateways in honor of their progression to heaven. That is the transmutation of this marketing Halloween thing, because as you guys get to that light, there won't be any ghouls in your life. And then your purpose, of course, changes and all of that. Then bad guys go away, or you start seeing a real human in there somewhere. Oh God, I can't have an enemy anymore. That sucks. There's no more bad guy. That's terrible. I got to redefine myself. I can't even use time because time is mushy. Oh, try to get the same stuff done in the same time, everybody. We dare you. Won't happen. Right? So all this stuff is just not fair. Nothing's working. If you guys are feeling like everything's kind of falling apart and weird, then it's on schedule. You all waking up in the middle of it. Ooh, yay, couldn't I just stay asleep? And it's like this one person today said, oh, I'll just get on the ship. You let me know when it's done, and then I can come back. But the ship's not waiting with its motor running for you guys. So since you're here, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to stay in the spooky realm. Okay, great. Well, after a while, you're going to be too aware, and even the bad guys will say, oh, I can't scare you anymore. So it's like, okay, you're just ruined for Halloween. Now what? Okay, well, we can't chase you, taunt you, harass you. That doesn't work because it's just too much work. So now you're useless as a victim. Terrible. You were our best enemy, and now you suck. How dare you ruin our game, right? And so here you become quite useless to the thirders and all of that because you guys are knowing too much. It's like that one Bugs Bunny cartoon where the gangsters captured him and they were going to kill him, and he said, okay, Rabbit, tell us what you know. And he said, we know that Schenectady's in New York. We know that Paris is in France. We know the distance between the sun and the moon is 27,000. He said the rabbit knows too much. And so it is this thing, this enigma, right, of awareness that you guys are winding up. It's like, okay, well, you can't play the third game anymore. You can't, get spooked. The shadows finding it no more fun to mess with you because you know too much. And pretty soon, if they keep up messing with you and you're too bright, they're going to change. And maybe they don't want to lose their game yet. So it's like, where do you belong? Just know, everybody, that if you feel like you do not belong as an awakened light worker, that dimension is being prepared, where you will meet your own soul kind, and you'll have the perfect connections with soul relationships and work and intimacy. And so you will start having your world, but it's this in-between phase that you're in right now. And so as someone who just collapsed their self into their soul, you're even more useless now. Congratulations. So what are you going to do, right? During this waiting room period is you are going to be available to the divinity that is now going to come to you. There is a set of subtleties that are going to show up. And your job, everybody, is to something fell on Patrick's leg in the dark. Yay! And it's just and so there are interesting creatures here. No water, so no alligators. And so maybe they want to join the show.
They do.
And so as you guys get to this level, then the world of your own making is going to be showing up, and it's coming from the future of the prophecy that you have made available because of your hard work. So we want to thank you and congratulate you for what's going to start in 2019.
Yay.
Because there is a destiny that's already formed. That other divine plan was a test run. That's why they put it out there. Let's see what happens, right? All this crap messed with it. So guys, there's a new, stronger, better, faster, bionic divine plan. It's already being tempered. And so just know that we're going to have you discover how to work with it. And by the way, everybody thinks heaven knows everything. This is a new field, right? So they're like going, okay. And you'll notice how some of you aren't getting this information. What do I do? Oh, there's no information. I don't know. Well, they're waiting for you to create the books of prophecy. So what does this do? Oh, ascension's happening. I don't know. Here, let's put them in this situation and see what they create. Have you ever felt like that, Lauren? Like you're the one that's actually creating, being the author of this new books of destiny?
Yes, and I know I'm not alone when many people are reporting incredible downloads lately of information and ideas and projects. So that is very inspiring to know that it's there. And that's all the importance of holding our vision of New Earth, because we've already created it in the vision.
Yes, and that's why the Quantum Bootcamp has, where we're going to show you how to capture that, because here comes the download, right? It's coming through you, boom, right? It keeps going. It doesn't sit there and say, okay, hi, let's have some coffee. It's the type of thing that is traveling. And so if you capture it on paper, right,
Yes.
and record it, then you don't have to wait for the next download, because it won't be the same, because it won't be available. Right? In other words, record this, please, and it will be much better for you, because you are basically replacing yourselves. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's almost like every morning or whenever that time where we get to commune with ourselves, we shall sit down and write this. And, it's like when we see ideas that are out there, we may not be the only one with that idea, right? It floats to everyone. It goes to others.
Well, if you look at all the possibilities that are happening now, there's a lot of people, a lot of Jesus is showing up, a lot of Napoleons and all this stuff. It's a collective archetypal field of what that represented. And so all of this is coming up. Now, at the same time, you're getting this informational matrix just downloading. Oh, God, let's just add this into the battlefield as things are learning how not to beat each other up or pee on each other. And so you have this situation to where, do you want to stick around and do 10,000 sessions, or would you like to create a system that replaces you so you can be freed up to have that opulent life?
Yes.
So as you get this, everybody, some of you may feel like that they're waking you up in the middle of the night. And if you have not created a professional relationship with your guides, they may disturb you in your necessary sleep cycles. So remember, you're the ones that are breathing and pooping and all this other stuff here. And so it's got to be on your terms, because they don't have a body. And sometimes they kind of forgot what it's like to have a day job. So you have to let them know what you want. How many of you, all right, everybody, feel like, oh, I've got to be in service? Hey, you're the ones down here. If you want something to get done with your spirit guides, threaten to trade places. That'll happen real quick, because they don't want to come down here. They're saying, oh, shh, don't say anything, but let them. Sure, that's good. But you guys are no longer a pushover. Now the computer has basically said, that's it. We'll see if we have another light. Otherwise, this is now a spooky part of Halloween.
Yay.
Oh, here we go. Yes.
How befitting. How befitting.
That was funny. Oh no, Kartron, he disappeared. Wait for me, Kartron. Oh no, here he comes. Ta-da! Oh God, hello. Oh, by the way, this is a studio light. It's a little interview light. That was $40. So if you guys are looking for a little LED, then this works really well. And so you can get one of these for your lighting, because a lot of you guys are going to start giving your messages out,
Yes, yes, we have to start speaking it and sharing it. So this has been very empowering. Kartron, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I mean, we are really looking into allowing the divinity within us to come forward. So what an inspiring message.
You are so welcome. And we want to thank you guys for, there's about 20 mosquitoes on us. We are really, getting ready to get you guys to become who you are. And we're going to use you for our wanton divine purposes, because you are the ones who are the most adept, the most equipped, the most evolved, the most experienced. You got all this stuff, your front row seats, you're still breathing. You guys are our access points, right? You're our go-to people. So that's why we're going to let you call the shots as light workers, because this whole reset thing, they're still kind of figuring it out. The people that are losing everything, they're learning how to experience loss. The ones up in heaven, they're saying, oh, I don't know, this is kind of new. Let's let them tell us what to do. So we're just letting you know that not everybody has all the answers, and that was what was intended, okay? This is designed to be really a co-authoring. And so what we want to do is hear you guys' version. You have a system, is there something percolating? Are you feeling to do something, go somewhere, whatever? We dare you to follow that voice, because that's the other voice. And the voice of God within is the quietest one. So your assignment, everybody, is to listen to the quietest voice and realize that all the other ones are what they are, but you don't need that. They're doing what they're doing. We have an extra mosquito here that's really, leave us alone. And so, yes, you only get 3 helpings of blood. Thank you. We are wondering if we're creating a new mosquito race, because if we're in the body and they're sucking on us, what's going to happen to them? It's mosquitoes. Oh, God, they got a little Zen thing in the park. What are they doing? They're doing their motions. You never know what's going to happen, right? So, yes, mosquitoes ascended. Oh, my God, I feel so stoned, and now I'm becoming a beetle. Yay.
They're going to turn into fairies. Yes. Okay.
And so good. Yes. Oh, I don't feel like sucking on the blood of the innocent. I want ascended beings. It's tastier. And I want to go to McDonald's.
Blood. Yes. Yes.
I want to go to McDonald's now. I don't want to just have animal blood anymore. Happy Halloween, everybody. So we want to thank you for really being there and going for it and all of that, because, without you, this ascension just simply would have been a lot harsher. And some of you know what a troublesome ascension is like. That's why they've had several golden ages. This time, you are the ones that are about to intervene on our behalf. Okay? And so we want to thank you for being our heroes, for being on the front line, for being the hands and heart and mind of prophecy, because you truly are the light of the world.
Blessings, blessings, blessings. Thank you so much for that, Kartron. Thank you.
Yes, we are seeing in your mind that we are supposed to mention sessions or something. Is that right?
Oh my goodness. Well, if you'd like to do that, or Patrick, it would be wonderful to hear how you, Kartron, explain what happens in a personal one-on-one session with you. That's in your special offer. But who's on there?
Well,
you accelerate.
We would call this the soul self session. Okay, and that's what you would refer to it, everybody, when you contact us. And so this is the one where we would do a fine-tuning of personal care, or focus attention on making sure that your self is really integrated into your soul. So if you really like what you felt here, then if you really want to go for it and become completely useless as a third dimensional being, then goodness, get a session. Otherwise, you better run now, but it's too late, because you've tasted the Daddy K sugar, and it's much too late for you now, obviously. So just want to let you know that we have you already. And so that's why, Lauren, we are going to be creating these things that will help people who are getting used to and acclimated to the newer self, and all that other stuff, right? So there will be workshops and stuff like the one on December 16th. That's whatever it's called.
Yes, that's an online healing retreat. Yes, and thank you for that. We're going to do, join with you, and you bring forth this new dimension that really helps us anchor that new self.
Yes, and so that's what is necessary, guys. How many of you still need another meditation? Oh, let's do this. So I'm going to do my practice or whatever. It's like, really? Well, if you're ready to just get on with it, then let's just activate your newer self.
Yeah.
It's not a big complicated thing, but this is the complication, right? This world. And so how many of you feel so done with it that it's like, that's it. It's done. It's complete. And so you're done with this movie. You've run out of paradigm. So here we go. We have a hand there. Okay, there we go.
It's another Halloweeny scarerini.
Yes, it is. That's why witches cannot get pregnant, because warlocks have Halloweenies. And so as you guys get to this level, then there's really no other choice, is there? If you use us, that's great. If not, that's great. But You are opening to the divine possibility made manifest in a level of prophecy that's coming back to greet you. How important is that? So if you're feeling like there's nothing happening, oh, when the earth stands still, the heavens move. And so that's what you guys are doing, is really bringing heaven to earth and helping us fulfill our destiny. So we want to thank you. And so, Lauren, that's all that we are supposed to do for this show.
We want to thank you, Kartron. We feel like you are a collective, and the words and the information you shared with us is so inspiring. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You are so welcome. It's actually, if we had an emotional body, it would be pleasurable to have worked with your kind, because it's like, oh God, it's like a breath of fresh air, a vacation. We don't have to do some, oh God, mentality. This is like Lauren Gailey, everybody. She's the one that's going to get you there, right? That's why you have you mentioned them about your network yet?
That is still unfolding. It's New Earth One Network, and it is going to be a place for everyone to step up and contribute their media productions, let's say.
Yes. And so as a nexus of greater possibility, it is a wonderful thing that you are basically almost like you're like a hub. And it's not like all about Lauren, right? Obviously, this is about, oh, Lauren is providing this gateway between the different possibilities. And now you guys have this wonderful opportunity that she is lovingly creating. Actually, that is lovingly being created through her endeavors and others. So guys, stay tuned for that. It's going to get really cool, because we're going to be facilitating that. And if you thought this was cool, wait till you see what we do to you next. You'll be forever addicted. Life is good. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. Kartron, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You are welcome. Have a nice day, guys, or night, or whatever. And happy Halloween. Ooh, farewell.
Ooh. Well, we have been listening to Kartron, inspirational messages. Thank you so much for that. Wow.
Oh, that was interesting, wasn't it?
Yes, again, so very, very interesting. It's so inspiring to know that we're right there. We're on the precipice of our soul, and we're right there on it. And so stepping up and creating new things, creating new systems, removing the inhumane programs, the inhumane organizations, the inhumane systems. That's what everyone listening and watching to this episode and shows like this are here to do. And that's what Kartron reminded us of.
Now, or just letting you know that as of July 4th, I challenged the cosmos to show me the next layer of sovereignty and all that. And boy, am I getting some information. So as this happens, then I'm going to give you guys the behind the scenes thing about what that whole global reset or the event is and stuff like that. As I get it, I'll share it. Okay. So it's like, oh my God, even for someone who's been like me doing about 6,000 Kartron things, it's like, oh my God, you got to be kidding. But I found out that everything is not what it appears. So guys, if you see one thing a certain way, it's almost a guarantee that it's not what is. And it's almost like it's a reverse field. As you get close to this, it all reverses. So the illusion becomes the apparent reality, but it's not. It's really an interesting thing. And we're going to show you how, at some point, to keep your own time space so you won't be thrown about in reverse timelines. So that seems like it's going to be important for you guys, because you're going to get in your spacesuits and come into the third world from your lofty places, right? That's actually like a greater work. It's like a white ops type of thing. So just letting you know that we're looking at creating this real didactic type of system that will help you guys engage the different systems without being compromised.
Yes. Okay. Well, this has just been really extraordinary, Patrick, and I thank you so much. We have a special offer. Kartron did talk a little bit about it. I want to direct our listeners to that. It's available at acoustichealth.com/special offers. And this includes a 6-hour online healing retreat that's recorded that we did with you and Kartron. That really was the new self that we created. We breathed into the new self. And also on December 16th, we have another event with you that's coming up. And also there's personal sessions that go with that. So this is just a great way for everyone who wants to step onto this path fully and really integrate that to do so. So thank you for that. Did you want to add anything on that?
Well, that's what the Kartron experience is about, creating. We find out, we share it with you guys, because we are in this together, and the shadow's about ready to wake up. So, we are going to be there as not the ones to pay the price, but it is going to start waking up from its roles, and it's going to say, what the heck is that? And you're going to be like, well, this is really what's going on. Have a nice day.
Well, it is always so fun to have you here. I always leave just feeling so elated, and it's such a humorous take as well. I just love it so much.
It's pretty trippy, isn't it? I mean, knowing the Kartron. So I want to thank you guys, and thank you, Lauren. And we'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you. Patrick McCormick, who brings forth Kartron. Thank you for this quantum conversation.
Yes. And happy Halloween.
Boo.
I don't even know how to turn this off. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh, I'm sideways. Okay.
Yes. Again, if you'd like to access Patrick McCormick's special offer, it's available at acoustichealth.com. And yes, Patrick. Anything else? No, he said goodbye. All right. And so please get in touch with me too if you'd like to learn more about New Earth One Network. It is a network for great change, and it's in support of you. So thank you, everyone. Namaste. Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. Access all quantum conversations, special offers from our guests, and online healing retreats by visiting acoustichealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. We leave you now with music from the universe. Music literally created by the universe, as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is this beautiful music, available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.